absolute domination. Chelsea 3, Barcelona nil. Champions League nights at the bridge. And what bigger rivalry is there in Champions League football than Chelsea FC versus Barcelona? We know the history. We know the Dino goal. We know that it's a disgrace. We know 2012, Ramirez chipping the keeper, for Fernando Torres rounding the keeper. We know history written in the stars, Gary Neville. But what other fans and rival fans did not know is what would happen when FC Barcelona rocked up to the bridge in 2025, needing a result in the Champions League, and got absolutely dismantled, as Matisse would say, discombobulated, and sent packing back to Spain in a spliff. Before we get into it, folks, hit those likes, hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications on, and as always, let me know in the comments. Shout out to some of my regulars that always participate. Big up to my boy Monkey. He's a KGX to the Z regular on this channel. We appreciate you, homie. But yes, it was a complete and dominant display. And do not let rival fans or do not let anyone tell you anything differently. Yes, FC Barcelona went down to 10 men, but it was smooth sailing. It was, dare I say, comfortable, even before that, right? We saw the lineup come out, and we know folks were very, very curious, right? We didn't start with an out-and-out striker. We had, no, normally we go from back to front, but we had Esteval, Garnacho, Pedro Neto, and some sort of front three attacking trio that we didn't know how it was going to play out. We had Reece James in the midfield with Caicedo and Enzo. We had Gusto at right back, Cucurella at left back. The center backs, Maresca changed them again. We had Chalaba come in at left side at center back. We had Fofana come in, didn't even make the bench for the last one, so we were resting him for this one. And then we had Big Bob Sanchez in goal. So yes, the lineup, no recognized number 9, no João Pedro, no Guéhi, no Liam Delap, but we went with the fluid formation, fluid attacking trio with pace everywhere, with a little bit of trickery, with someone that can play a pass in Esteval, and it caused Barcelona and Hansi Flick's highline nightmares all game. Because don't let the score fool you. It was 3-0 when the referee blew the final whistle, but we had the ball in the back of the net 3 other times. And yes, we could have gotten off to a really good start with an Enzo goal that was rightly so. And look, all of the decisions that went against us, or maybe it was Fofana, all of the decisions that went against us in terms of the goals being offside or ruled out for handball and Fofana were completely the correct calls. Absolutely justified. So, we weren't hard done by the referees when it comes to that, which is something that us Chelsea fans know firsthand when it comes to this fixture, right? We know that the kind of Barca UEFA that folks have been saying for years that Barcelona and Real Madrid have the refs in their back pockets. Look, none of that. We won't mention it again during the course of this review. But yes, complete domination from the beginning. And yes, Barcelona had a really good chance early where they caught us in a bad moment where Reece James was passing it to Caicedo right outside of our box, and Caicedo was kind of on his back foot. Reece was getting pressed. The pass ended up getting deflected. It falls right to, I want to say maybe Yamal. Yamal plays it to Ferran Torres, and Torres misses what should be a sitter. But from that moment until the final whistle, complete and utter domination by Chelsea. The midfield, Caicedo. Look, Caicedo didn't even play one of his best games in a Chelsea football shirt. We've seen Caicedo play better, but that's not to say Caicedo was poor this game. That's just to say that Caicedo's levels are so high that a 7 out of 10 is just Caicedo being Caicedo. Enzo Fernandez, fantastic. Had his head up, was making runs, was getting in and around the box. Could have had a goal, but had one ruled off offside. Probably deserved a goal for his performance. He was fantastic in terms of the organization and the shape. He helped out a lot defensively. But when you've got Reese and you've got Caicedo there in the midfield, it allows him to get a little bit forward. But there was one moment that stood out for me when it comes to Enzo. And second half, late, he plays a ball. At this time, Liam Delap had come on with the outside of his boot from inside of our own half. Delap gets it. He's gets his head up, does well, picks out a great cross to Esteval. Esteval chests it, lifts it, plays it back, and guess who's there to get a shot off? And yes, he scuffed his shot on that one. He was reaching a little bit, but it was Enzo Fernandez. So he started the play and tried to finish the play. So look, kudos to Enzo. The center backs, I'll be honest with you, Chalobah and Fofana were solid. They didn't have to do too much. Lewandowski's just getting back, played on the weekend. Ferran Torres is in pretty decent form. I think he's got 9 goals and like 15 appearances this year. We know what kind of smoke Yamal's on. We know that Rashford and Rafinha were coming back. But to be honest, I think they had, apart from that shot, they had one other shot late that required Bob to make a good save. But apart from that, they dealt with everything. Cucurella, deserved man of the match, because what he's doing defensively as well as building up and helping us from the build up. Last year, towards the end of the year, it was him getting on the end of stuff and being a box crasher from a left back. The guy just does it all. He does it all. And just defensively, we know right now there is a premium of right wingers in the world in terms of very rarely are the right winger, are there more good right wingers than there are left wingers. But this is one of those times, right? You've got the likes of Yamal, you've got the likes of Saka, you've got Salah, you've got very Michael Olise, various other players that are very, very talented. And time again, Cucurella locks these folks down. Locks them down with hardly any help. Right, we had Garnacho sometimes coming back a little bit, just offering a little bit of resistance, but for the most part, Garnacho was cemented to that left wing spot high up the pitch because we wanted to keep that Barcelona line honest and to potentially play in behind Barcelona and things like that, which we did. But yeah, the defense was fantastic. Cucurella deserved man of the match. The midfielders I talked about were fantastic. The attack, I mean, worked their socks off. I talked about Garnacho before. Of all the attackers that came on, he was by far the poorest out of all of them. I thought he had some moments where he could have worked the keeper a little bit more, but he was active. He was engaged. He didn't allow Koundé any respite or any joy, and just that's what you wanted to see from Garnacho. Obviously, the goals and assists and things like that is ultimately what wingers are measured by. But with him, and then for this particular role, for this particular match against these particular set of tactics from Hansi Flick, you wanted somebody that could be a threat in behind. And Garnacho, he did that even though he wasn't very clinical with his final ball and his final decisions. Although he played a couple nice passes towards the end that one with Enzo. Enzo got a shot off, and I think it was Koundé or somebody blocked it, and it went out for a corner, but it could have went anywhere. But Neto, another workman-like performance. And look, Neto gets a lot of hate from the Chelsea fan base, and some of it's deserved because he is a little bit of a one-trick pony. But the one thing that Neto is always going to give you, no matter what, is he's going to give you the work rate. He's going to give you the hustle. He's going to run his socks off, and he's just going to be a nuisance. And he showed that last year when we didn't have a backup striker and Jackson was injured or Jackson got a red card and he had to play false nine. He puts in shifts, right? We know his hold-up play and his link-up play is not going to be there, but what he's very, very good at, and that's getting in behind the defense, timing his runs, making the diagonal runs, and today he was fantastic at that. He linked up with Esteval, who, if Cucurella didn't win man of the match or deserved to win the man of the match, Esteval was right there because Esteval, look, the goal will be the signature moment from this game, and rightly so. And I talked about it on Jimmy's stream. That was a goal that was reminiscent of the goal that he scored in the Club World Cup against us when he was still with Palmeiras. Shifted it onto his right foot. At that time, he had beat Colwell, but this time, this one was even better because he had to dribble two guys, hold one guy off at the end, and then the right foot finish was from an even, maybe not as tight of an angle, but still a very very difficult shot, and was just fantastic. But his overall link up play, and again, mentioned this on the live stream, but one of my criticisms when it comes to Esteval is just like all young players, he wants to take the extra touch. He wants to make everything perfect. When sometimes you just need to give the simple pass, keep it moving, provide the outlet, and things like that. Right, your work off the ball can be just as dangerous as your work on the ball if you apply yourself and put yourself in the right situations. And today, he did all of that because the passes he was releasing when it was Garnacho with some of the switches, or when it was Enzo with some late runs, or when it was Neto making those direct runs in behind, he was just absolutely fantastic. Even Gusto at the right back, he got pulled at halftime because he was on a yellow and we didn't want to go down to 10 men after Arujo went down right before the half. But even Gusto, I mean, the energy, the tackling, the positioning was all A1 fantastic from him. He goes off at halftime. Andre Santos comes on, and Santos was fantastic. I made a comment that I'd almost even forgot that Santos was playing because he was just so calm and composed in the midfield. And he was actually the deepest of our midfielders for the majority of the 45 minutes that he played in that second half, where he allowed Caicedo to sort of be that tenacious ball winner and almost to let Caicedo loose, to let Enzo do his thing and get forward. And of course, it always helps when you're up a man. You're going to have one less person to press you. But we know how Barcelona likes to set up. They like to they like to press you high. They like to try to force you into turnovers high so that they can get shots off quickly. But we negated all of that. We played through their press at times. We played over their press at times. It was just a tactical masterclass from Maresca in terms of the lineup, in terms of the in-game, in terms of the tactics that he set up, in terms of the in-game management, when to take players off. Right, Garnacho was struggling a little bit, comes off at the 58-minute mark. Who came on for him? Liam Delap comes on here for him. So that's we're already up 2-0 at that time. So that's a battering ram up top. And Delap was fairly decent today. There were some moments where he still had a little bit of his boneheaded mistakes where he's backing into man and things like that. But for the most part, he was on job. He was active. He was engaging the center backs. He was making some runs in behind. He got his goal today, which I was very, very happy to see. Simple tap in, but he did a very good job of staying onside. And actually a pretty decent finish when you think about the ball that came across. Just didn't have that much pace on it, but very, very, very dominant win today. Super hype, super excited, because when we came back from international break, we said, look, one game at a time. And I know that's a terrible cliche, but it was important for us to get the job done at Burnley, and we did. A 2-0 win. That's now, counting today's game, I think that's 4 clean sheets on the bounce. We went today and we said, look, we need this. And if you would have told me before which game would you rather win, this game or the Arsenal game, I would have always picked Arsenal because we're due to beat Arsenal. But that's 2 important wins in a week, which really sets us up to for the home game on Sunday versus Arsenal, right? We got rested minutes. Reece didn't play the full 90, didn't play the full 90 versus Burnley. We got getting some minutes, so Neto went off. We got Achapong, who hasn't featured in a little while, got some minutes. Tyreek George got some minutes in there. We didn't even need to give Badiashile any minutes. We didn't need to give João Pedro any minutes. Guehi didn't get any minutes. Hato. But it was just absolutely dominating and absolutely impressive, and just I can't, there aren't enough plaudits for that kind of performance that we put in today. So look, let me know in the comments, let me know who your man of the match was, let me know what this does to your overall outlook. How are you approaching the Arsenal game? We'll be back on Sunday. Maybe we'll do a preview for that one, but yeah, we are I am ecstatic. I am super thrilled, and as always, up the Blues. But yeah, hit those likes, hit that subscribe, turn those notifications on, and we will see you at the next one, people.